And let's get to it. So let's see, it's been a couple of days since I've played this. I save up a couple days worth of footage, so if I get lazy or if something comes up I at least have some footage. Unfortunately, uploading takes a bit of time. Now you'll see me making these little crevices into the walls. They aren't going to be for coffins. I am planning on having a bunch of statues here, one for each king. Because I thought it'd be interesting, because this is on an island, and we know we've been at war with goblins for quite some time. So this is like one of the last safe refuges that will never be touched by goblins. Of course, I shouldn't say never. I mean, just look at the Titanic. But it would be nice having a little bit of history for the dwarfs to look on a statue of each of their kings and or queens. And I thought I told them to bury that body. Well, it might be buried. Well, I don't see any more dead people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And only have 5 coffins. Oh well. Let's make another coffin. And so, I've actually come up with a couple of ideas over the past couple of days on some new mega projects for our fortress to attempt to accomplish. Now, one of them is the hollow statues leading up to the little temple, and I have an interesting idea for the temple, but we're going to need to import a lot of sand for the glass. But I think an amazing idea would be building an artificial waterfall here, and it'll go down a couple layers into here, and we can build a little tavern. Of course, it'll take a bit of connecting, because we don't want to connect it to the main mining network, again, because of demons. Ugh, demons. But I think this would be an interesting and marvelous idea for us to attempt. And I have yet to successfully implement a pump stack, so this will be something to learn. Oh, and we have a little tavern. Yeah, we already have a tavern here, I know, but it never hurts to have a second one. So, statues. I am very fond of copper statues myself, because copper is just a wonderful material. I mean, I know it tarnishes pretty heavily with salt water, but still. And yeah, it looks like copper's being smelted. I can't wait until that hematite ore is smelted, so we can get to the tetrahedrite, which has some silver in it. And I'll let this run in the background while I check out Dwarven Therapist, because I want to make sure we have someone on furnace operating. Now let's see, furnace operating. We have a Vooz on furnace operating, and it looks like nil. Well, let's check to make sure. Yep. And Vooz is our miner, but she's not allowed to operate furnaces. Is that blood? Oh, it looks like a dog attacked one of the black gibbons. Well, it's a good thing we got puppies on. That doesn't... I was kind of hoping it was a Tingle 2.0. Oh man, that was awesome. Okay, let's see. 2 spaces from the water because of how they operate. 2, 3. I'd say 3 is enough, because I'll build the tavern on this level. It'll pour down from here, and this we'll have to recycle it back into the sea with a pump stack. So, an artificial waterfall. I mean, it's not going to be a huge waterfall, but it's going to be there, which is the main point. And I have an awesome plan for a drawbridge and a lever on the inside of the vault, and a spike pit. So let's try it out. I mean, the spikes won't do much against, demons. However, any mortal attempting access to our bank will have to first climb over a spike pit. But if they have the means and tools necessary to dig this far down, then I don't think a spike pit will stop them. But we'll try at least. Might protect against... No, a dragon. How can a dragon fly underground? I know humans can fit, so it's probably... I mean, it's really hard applying dimensions to Dwarf Fortress, because Toady specifically made it so that a dragon can fit in a 1x1 space, and so do dwarves, and all manner of different creatures. Now we want an ashery, because I'm planning some clear glass for our temple, which means we need... Why don't... Oh, it needs blocks. So it needs some pearl ash to make it. Some pine, a bucket. And I'm also hoping for a tree farm once we actually break through the cavern layer. So let me dig further down. Of course we have to dig further down. We're dwarves. It's marvelous. And you know what I think? I think we actually dug under the aquifer because there's a mountain. So I think the mountain's a couple layers above the sea level. At least that's what I think. Is this the negatives? Why didn't that designate properly? Okay, looks like I'm going to have to go all the way back down. So, I've been lurking on Reddit posts for a while now, and I've seen a lot of people talking about how hard it is to get into Dwarf Fortress. And I have to agree with them. Yeah, it's a really tough game to get into. But there is a lot of video tutorials, and that's actually how I learned. I watched a bunch of tutorials, and then I had to play a lot of forts, and each time it failed, I learned something new. Oh. You know what? I'm going to have emergency flooding mechanism. So it'll flood the mine shaft. Come on, please. You can do it. No. Oh. Of course you can't do it. Okay. So let's try this again. I can't wait until there's more migrants so we can actually get more furnace operators. Because I don't want to lose another dwarf because of something stupid. Where? So we struck the cavern layer, and let's immediately wall it up. Okay. Looks like there's nothing for us to wall up. Because I don't think they can jump. I'm pretty sure there's a climbing thing for trees, but I don't think there's a climbing thing to actually go up to a downstair. At least that's how I remember it. It might exist, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Okay, let's pray it doesn't. Okay. So the best advice I can give to getting into Dwarf Fortress is play it a whole bunch. In each fort you learn something new. Like, I did not know for the longest time that you need fresh water to heal wounded dwarves, which is why I'm attempting to build a well. Because I just realized we have a hospital but we don't have a well, which is rather unfortunate. I mean, we have some of the brown recluse silk so we can actually bandage stuff up. We need a bucket and mechanisms. Well, I can make a bucket and I can make mechanisms. How marvelous. Oh wait, wrong thing. Let's get 10 of them. And let's make a few buckets. Not an armor stand, even though we'll need those when a frickin' noble gets here. I mean, honestly, nobles, they aren't so bad, but their mandates are annoying, and it takes a lot of time and work to get a room the size that they want. So, I'm thinking about having these a bit longer. I'm not sure if that'll go over right. I don't know. I'm not even sure if these are very appealing. I mean, I try to make videos that I would enjoy watching, And when I watch Dwarf Fortress videos, they tend to be from streams that are cut up into pieces. So I pretty much make pieces of streams and post them. And honestly, to me, like, watching people play Dwarf Fortress is kind of relaxing, and sometimes there's actually pretty hilarious moments. Let me see, is there anything else? So I'm just wondering what other things we can do to make this seem more interesting. Now, we're going to have to make a bunch of statues, so I guess I'll make that. I want a marble statue of... Okay, so let me bring up the I'll make statues after I bring up Legends Viewer, and I'll check out the kings so we can start making them. Of course, the way I'm recording means you won't be able to see the Legends Viewer along with me. Same reason why you guys can't see the Dwarf and Therapist with me. It's the recording software I use. It's not the best, but it gets the job done. I mean, my buddy, he also does YouTube, and he goes, yeah, you just gotta keep making videos. It might be bad, but you'll get better, so just try to record something and then post it. And so I did. And you guys are watching. At least a couple of you. So, oh, we have hives. Let's make a little area for beekeeping right around here. You don't want them near where the rest of your guys are, because the bees get around and they try to sting everybody. And it takes a very long time for them to do something, but if your dwarves want different types of alcohol, you can make mead, and I just like the idea of honey. I may have mentioned how I played Stardew Valley a while ago and I made bank with honey. I just wish that the honey mechanics in this game were a bit better. I mean, it's pretty tough having beehives and taking care of them and getting honey in large quantities. And why is one of the coffins looking shorter than the other? Like, this coffin looks tiny and this coffin looks tiny. Is it simply differentiating between genders, or is heights actually simulated? And there's drinks, so you shouldn't be dying of thirst. Honestly, drink something. I want you to drink alcohol. Usually they don't put up this much of a fuss trying. Okay, so let's try to make a pump stack here. Okay, so I made a little goof, but okay. So let's start out the tavern, make it upstairs, make it downstairs, dig these out. So I think Legends Viewer is booted up, so I'm going to load Legends Viewer and put some data into it, and then I'll go to Cremated Abbey, and then I'll find out where the kings and queens are. See, this is the way I do it. It's a bit lopsided. Well, yeah. As long as you do it carefully, then the dwarves will channel it right. But more often than not, they'll fall down and break something. So you have to watch out for that. And ring-a-ding-ding. So this is where we're going to put the spikes down, so they'll fall onto a spike, and we'll put a few cage traps and a few revolving serrated disc traps, and it'll be good. Yeah, I'm digging the idea of the waterfall, the artificial waterfall. I mean, it's not going to be huge and spectacular like I was hoping, but it'll be something nice to actually try to test out a pump stack. And yeah, and it'll be an emergency flooding mechanism. Because I am... Oh dear. Okay, so let's build the emergency flooding mechanism. And the brave dwarf. So, the idea is the emergency flooding mechanism, the dwarf will go here and flood the thing and hopefully get out this way. Because I'm going to build a wall here, hopefully, if mechanisms can actually travel up walls. And that way, I think flood grates or something similar, they actually pop off. Okay, let's test that first. Remember to test each component separately before you attempt a mega project. You'll save yourself a lot of grief. And make sure before you're messing with pump stacks or pumps or anything that might possibly lead to several dwarven deaths, that you test all the other components first before you actually implement the pump stack. Okay, so we'll need to use a wood furnace. Well, we're going to need to use a wood furnace anyway to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll make pearl ash from ash, and the extra charcoal will go into our steel making industry. Now, I have said previously in an episode that ain't nothing getting to us here. And I have to say I kind of lied, because a dragon might get up to us here. You know, dragons taste for the delicious flesh of dwarves. Oh, gonna need a little extra thing. So, I'm gonna need a little extra space. And yeah, so everything's shaping up nicely. Do we have more blocks? Let's see, we have a bunch of marble, but our marble blocks are, let me do some, sadly lacking. I wish it was a cracker so I could say we're crack-a-lacking, but unfortunately not. So they're still making blocks, so that's cool. And let me queue up the construction of the first statue. Just let me boot it up, and Cremated Abbey, and our first king was Sodal Roxbar. So, let me think. Do I want that in marble or copper? And, yeah, the Paradoxus starter pack has an autosave feature. So at the beginning of each year, it saves for you, which is fantastic if you're just running it in the background and you're afraid it might crash, which my Dwarf Fortress does every now and then. And I think that'll be enough for this episode. I mean, we got a year and I have to edit. So see you next time.